Hey YouTube, John here again, yet again, with another video on, well, I actually did go on the intentions last night at about 5:30 on filming this video and recording it, but when we got there, the sun had dropped off really behind the clouds, and the light was falling really fast, so instead of filming it, I just did it, and I was going to use 2 and 3 flashes and stuff like that, but light were dropping so fast. So what I did was I just took a couple of pictures and I showed a friend this morning who absolutely loved them and reckoned that I should just do a quick video on my settings and why I chose these settings. Basically these shots that you're going to see now, they're all exposed for the background and then using a YN565 with a shoot through umbrella off to camera left. I did on a couple of them use a rim light as well, but I got sick of jumping over the fence to turn the rim light up and down, so I ended up just leaving that and just using one light. And I will tell you now that the reason why I chose 1/60th of a second, the shutter speed I started off with was 1/100th of a second at ISO 200 at f6.3. Now why I did that was to keep my sync speed. I mean, I was using the Pixel Kings and I could have bust my sync speed if I'd have wanted to. They would have allowed that, but I wanted to stay under 1/200th of a second, which is what my EOS 600D will do. My 50D does 2/50th, but it's only 1/3 of a stop. So I wanted to stay under that, and I started at 1/100th of a second so that if the background was too bright, I could speed it up a full stop by going to 1/200 or 1/60th, as you can see here, 1/60th, and I could also slow it down a little bit if I needed to let in a bit more ambient. If I needed to really slow it down more than a 50th or a 60th, I could have just doubled my ISO as well. But 1/100th of a second or 1/250th of a second is a good starting point if your shutter speed's 2/50th of a second. It's a good starting point. It allows you to darken the background. Now, basically what I did was, and I didn't actually keep it because I did plan on videoing it, but I didn't. I took a test shot. I got the exposure for the background so that I liked it. I then used the umbrella, which this is not actually full flash. I know it looks like pretty much a decently middle of day picture, but it wasn't. It is, as you can see, I was at f6.3 at 1/60th of a second, which is, for a sky shot, that's quite poor. I mean, usually you'd be at f16 at 1/200th of a second or f22, especially at ISO 200 as well. So it was very low light. So I then filled in with a bit of flash through an umbrella. In fact, I don't know if this one was through an umbrella. I don't know. Let's have a look. It might have just been direct flash, this one. And then I added an umbrella. So that's my settings. What I did find out was, I'll talk you through it as I do it. When I did this shot here, I wanted to do a nice wide angle, because if you noticed, all my portraits are shot 70 to 300, but I found this scene and I liked the sky in the background, and I wanted to just show you me using a 17 to 50mm. And my idea was to later on start shooting at f2.8 and 3.5 and that, but the sky was just a shade, even though it was dark, it was still a shade too bright to do so. So when I took this shot out of camera, what I noticed was that when I took it, the light, because you're using the umbrella, you can see it slightly falls off. Now you can either combat by using 2 flashes through 2 umbrellas, or you could use another flash underneath your umbrella with just a bit of spill. My umbrella's only 90 centimetres and I had it above his head. Or I could have moved the umbrella down a little bit and lit him from the front, but I wanted to light him up from about 45 degrees or 35 degrees to get a nice loop lighting pattern. And on this shot I did get it up to 200th of a second and I liked it better, but I decided to slow it down to take in a little bit more ambient to give me a little bit more light down the bottom here. Again, low lighting pattern, getting him to look towards the light. Mixed, this is definitely through an umbrella. Yeah, definitely through umbrella. Using the umbrella, oops, clicking twice. using the umbrella to mix the flash with the ambient. I will tell you now what I did do, because of the shadows that we're getting down here. A lot of photographers will tell you, and the rule of thumb is usually underexpose your sky, be a full stop, and you get this lovely colour saturation that you see here. But in this circumstance, because I didn't use a massive softbox and a big powerful light to illuminate him from head to toe, the light fall off was quite dramatic. So what I had to do was I had to cheat. I actually didn't underexpose the sky. I can't remember my settings, I don't really take much notice, but I think it was either centred on the meter in AV or slightly overexposed, and I brought it down in post because I was getting too much dark down here, and obviously my flash wasn't powerful enough to light it up, so I cheated by overexposing the sky a little bit and then bringing it down in post, and it helped bring these shadows and on his trousers. It helped basically raise the shadows. Now again, I am going to buy an external power pack, and I would really love like an 80-inch softbox or something, or I don't know, maybe an 110 or 120 centimetre umbrella that would illuminate him from head to toe, and then it would eliminate me having to overexpose the background and bring it back in post. So there's a little cheat for you if it happens to you, because it will happen. You'll go out, you'll put your umbrella up, you'll take the shot, and you'll think, well, my background looks lovely, but my umbrella, the drop off of light is too much. I could have used a second flash and another umbrella. I did have them with me, but it was quite windy and there was only me, my son and Ben, and I just couldn't be bothered basically. If it was a professional paid shoot, I probably would have done that, and I would have got this sky out of the camera. So again, I mean, here's a bit of an, you can just see the light fall off a little bit round here, look. That's where it would have been nice to maybe slow down to 1/100 of a second, just to take in a little bit more ambient, and then bring the sky down again. I love this fence. We're giving me just a lovely composition with the sky. So basically, what I always do when you find a scene, you stay there and you work it. Don't just move away from it. Here's some nice wide angle shots with a bit of distortion, looking cool. Then here's Ben coming in. You can see now the light's fallen off quite dramatic. If you look at my shutter speed from here to 1/160th, it's quite dark actually. Then you go here, you've dropped down to an 80th of a second. The light was dropping down rapid. Again though, lovely mixed. There's the umbrella in his eyes. Lovely mixed umbrella and flash with the ambient. It's a really good thing to do. It's not really easy to do, but it's quite good. Couple of close-ups now. You can really see I've dropped the aperture as well on this one, just merely to soften the background, and the light was falling. I've still got the nice loop lighting pattern on my face, and it's still quite sharp. It's not razor sharp, but it's sharp enough. The background's nicely out of focus. It's just a different composition. All the difference was I walked in and I walked up to him. I stayed around 20 to 30 mil. I walked up to him, and now I have brought the horizon line up a bit, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter. I'd rather it cut through there, and it's nice and soft, and it looks great. I think I brought in a rim light at some point. Now again, speeding up the shutter this time. And then there's the rim light. You can see the rim light now. Working with a bit of the rim light, but to be honest, I had to keep jumping over the fence to turn it up and down, so I got a bit peed off with using the rim light. As Mally pointed out this morning when he was looking at me, he said maybe you could have turned the rim light down a little bit more, but in all fairness, it's just the whiskers on his chin. I do like it. This is obviously now zoomed in, dropping the shutter speed even more now, and we're at 3.5, so we're really losing light. But we've got a lovely buttery out of focus background, and we've got some lovely sharp detail on the eyes. Then I moved into the middle of the car park because I wanted this was just one of the shots, but I wanted to eventually lay down and use the sky as a backdrop. I'm just messing around here basically. Still same umbrella in his eyes, you can see. Oh, I used a bit of fill here as well. There's a bit of fill I forgot about that. Let's go back. I don't know when. Yeah, I don't think... I wasn't using fill here, and you can see the shadow's a bit intense. It was a raw flash from the right-hand side. You can see the catch light in his eye. Really lifting that shadow, giving nice highlights next to shadows. The background's not great, but the light is. Laying on the floor now, still using the same lighting setup, never adjusted them, just using more of the sky. Not really a cool shot for a single person, but would be quite nice with a bride and groom. Now, light really falling off. We went up to the top of the park, and I just liked the background here, and I thought I'd chuck it out of focus. One light here this time, no fill light. I left it on the bin, so I never used a fill light. Same again really, just come out to shoot some low light portraits, to show you mixing flash with the sky in the shot. Usually I could zoom in and eliminate that, and it wouldn't be as hard as it was to do these shots here. Look at the shutter speed now, even at f2.8, we're still at a 40th of a second, really dragging the shutter. I knew I was doing it though, but I've still maintained sharpness. To any of you novices out there, I could have double the ISO to 200 then to 400, which would have gave me 1/160th of a second, which I probably should have done, but I know that Ben was holding nice and still and we were using flash, so that helped freeze the action. I don't know if anybody knows, but when you're using flash, it does help freeze action, but it only freezes action in really low light. Some people are led to believe that if they just use a bit of fill flash in middle of day, that it'll freeze action. Well, it won't. It did in this situation because it was, I know it don't look like it, but it was really bloody dark. So the flash were really, all it is illumination is flash. If it were turned off, it'd be black. In fill flash, it's proper illuminating him fully, and that's why it's frozen. Then just to finish off, we just I tried to frame them in between these two little houses and blur the background. You can see the kids playing there. We got some nice expressions. Then to finish off with, I told them both to laugh their head off. I still dragged the shutter and managed to get a sharp shot. I did take 3, and this was the one that turned out the sharpest. And that basically concludes what I want to show you. Went out on the intention to do some low aperture shooting. I wish that I'd gone back down to the fence and shot at f2.8 and 3.2 instead of 6.3. But when I walked down past the fence back to the car, I was going to do it, but the blue sky, it were near enough dark and the blue sky was gone. So without the, I don't know if you agree, but without the blue sky in the shot, they wouldn't have been what they are. So when, because my car was parked opposite here, and when I walked back, the sky were near enough like a white darky colour. So anyway, I hope this helps anybody getting into flash portraiture. I did go out at 5:30 knowing that I'd only have like a 50-minute window. I did intend to use a couple more lights, but unfortunately the light dropped that quick, and I didn't have a couple of assistants to start chucking them up and putting them on stands, so I ended up going to an umbrella, then a rim light, but got bored because I got sick of jumping over the fence. It will be better when I get another Pixel King and I can use it on the King and then adjust it from my camera. I was using the key light, by the way, with a Pixel King and the YN565, so I could adjust that from my camera, but the rim light I couldn't, so I basically got rid of that. Looking back on the pictures, I wished I'd have maybe implemented it when we went up to the top here, like here. I wished I'd have used it a few times on a few of these. It would have looked really cool to use it there, but again, I'd left it on bin, so we didn't have it with me. It was down at the bottom. So, yep, thanks for watching, and please comment and subscribe.